Alright, so today I want to go over how we can make modern UI for Roblox games. And I thought a good way to show modern UI inside of games would be catalog avatar creator. But looking back at it, there's not much detail at all, it's just flat design. And I'm not wanting to teach that because that would just be shapes. So for instance, across all of this, there's no shading. The only bit of shading we have is at the bottom, and that's only a fade out. There's no gradient, for instance, on this. The UI is good, but it's not what I want to be teaching you guys today. But with that being said, let's hop on Photoshop to get started. Alright, luckily for me, I've got some assets already, which will be in the description. It will be a Gumroad that you can go and get for free. I've got some assets such as the buttons, and the text isn't needed, so it won't be on there. But if you want to know what font I'm using, it's Archivo Black. But in all honesty, you won't need to use that because when you go into Roblox and import the UI, you'll be putting all of your text in there anyway, separate from the PSD. Alright, let's just, I don't know, let's see. Alright, so we can see this, or this. When you press it, you get where and view. I want that to be a constant at the bottom side of the frame for this, and I don't want it to be a rip from the game UI. I just want it to be similar. So I think what's probably going to be best is making its own border here. And because it is a modern UI, you don't really see much rounding on the corners. Once you've got your shape made, go into the layer style and click on gradient overlay. I don't want it too light and I don't want it too dark. Alright, change overlay to normal. I have just realized I could have just set this up inside of the actual shape's color. Alright, perfect. Scale up a little bit, and now you can see that we do have a nice gradient. It's not too harsh, which is something to keep in mind. With gradients, you cannot make them too harsh. You can see that there is a direct contrast between this color and this top color, but the thing is, the smoothing helps out so much, and it's not a harsh change. It's not, for instance, going from red to green. Right, so now I've got that, make a new stroke and set the position to inside. My fill type is on color and it's set to white, and the blend mode is on overlay. Set the opacity all the way up, and it'll give us a really clean, smooth border. Now what I've gone and done is added an inner shadow onto that frame, and if you want, you can just copy this. It just gives it a bit more depth to it. Alright, once you've got that, if you want to, go and grab these buttons from the Gumroad in the description, and then we can just start placing them. Okay, so this button is going to be for the buy, this button is going to be for wear, and as you can see, they're right next to each other, so I'm going to have to scale them down a little bit. I'm trying to make sure that in between this side bit here is the same as between here. I believe that's slightly off. I'll do the same there. Alright, there we go. So I've got them placed. Now, this is buy and that's wear, and wear doesn't need to be a red button. Within that user experience and colour theory where they merge over, if you're going to use wear as a red button, I'm just going to question it because the colour doesn't make sense. It's sort of like a negative colour or associated with negative for something that actually could be quite good. So we'll change that from red over to the grey. And the grey is very neutral, and I don't really know if wear would give any emotion well, so it does help with that. Right, next thing is we have a little close button, and if we want to place this close button in the top right corner, and make sure it's not too big and not all the center of attention in the frame. Alright, now then, something different I'm going to do from the thumbnail of this video is instead of having it all in one frame, I'm going to make it have its own square. That way it's sort of more separated from the background. You just need to center it. Alright, hold on, I know. Go to the middle. Alright, better idea. We'll change the color first. Wait, oh my god, it was already centered. Okay, so same principle with going to go and get the gradient overlay. However, this time I want it to actually be set to overlay, and the color is slightly lighter to give it a bit more separation. Do inner shadow again and stroke. Now, as this had a bit of rounding, 15 pixels, we'll do the same on this one. And that whole idea is making sure there's consistency within the design. If there's not, it can get so confusing for the player so fast without. It would seem so stupid, but they will get confused. You gotta remember the audience is 5-year-olds and toddlers basically. But with the consistency, it's also helpful if you're sort of selling the game as a brand. Everything needs consistency, even applying to jobs on the Roblox marketplace, you need to be consistent to get them. Alright, so the next thing we'll do is we'll bring this sample over to here. We'll edit this to go there, and we want to set this to stick to the left or align to the left. Oh no, we do not. Never mind, scratch that. Alright, so now we have the item name, but I think this is a bit big. I think I'm going to set the scale of the text to 65. There we go, that's much better. And I honestly think I might add some overlay. I'm just going to check how it looks. Yeah, there we go. Now it looks a bit more consistent with the rest. Right, the next thing we are going to add, which I don't have on Gumroad, but there is a user that does have it, and it is completely free. It's a free vector pack for Roblox. We're just going to go and grab the check mark from that pack. And if you don't have it, you can just get the normal one off of Roblox. This one is just slightly more stylized. And what we're going to do is add text that says buy, and then we're just going to add a username. You can use whatever you want. I'm going to just brand it with my name. And what I want you to make sure as well, you don't have to, but it does just add to the style a little bit more. If you go ahead and add a darker color onto the name, it should, it doesn't want to do it, okay, we'll have to do this externally, but it does just look a little bit better. Set the scale down of that and try to align it quite similar to this one. Right, there we go. Now then, we need to exclude this, so we'll have to just copy paste it. Rasterize layer. Right, there we go. That should be right. And there we go. Let's have a look now. Alright, not looking bad. These do need more spacing though, or just a little bit smaller. Alright, is it looking good? Alright, my figured it out. I think I'm going to leave that text at that. And the only thing we have to work on next is the text for these buttons, which will be very simple. We've already got a way sorted out for us. That doesn't need a stroke. This one will, to separate it from the background. As you can see, you can't really tell what's going on with it. Right, there we go. We will have to add a stroke onto this one and keep it at the same pixel. 4. Alright, 4 pixel outlines. And if we want to actually fully polish this, we just need to find an image. Alright, once you've found your image that you want to use, simply just go ahead and paste it in. And what you would actually use in Roblox would be a viewport frame for the item, but for our use case it's not really necessary. One thing I do want to go and add though is a little sort of gradient going across, and this might just help separate it a little bit. So if I was to go ahead and select this, rasterize, oh no, okay, rasterize layer style, and then if I want to select the outside and subtract it from this, deselect, I can release the clipping mask, and then I can bring it above the other stuff, and that'll mean that it now affects that. Set it to normal and the fill slightly down, leave it at 90%. Alright, and there we go, we have a clean, polished UI. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and also the Gumroad is in the description if you want to go and get these for yourself. If you are going to use them though, you don't have to, but it would be preferred if you credit me in either the description or somewhere in the game. If you like this video, make sure to let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.